Hello friends, today I come to you with a gift, and this gift is information that could potentially change your life. I didn't mean to start this video so dramatically, but at the same time, this is information that could potentially change your life. So here you go. Today we're talking about hormones, and specifically 5 big tips that I have for you for how to use your fitness lifestyle to balance your hormones, to get rid of any negative hormone symptoms you have. Because here's the thing, here's the key piece of information that a lot of people are not aware of. PMS is not normal. Cramps are not normal. Not feeling like yourself for a week leading up to your period, not normal.
Feeling depressed, anxious, or like a giant rage monster where every little thing is going to make you angry for a week leading up to your period,
not normal. Bloating, not normal. There's this whole trend about normalizing bloating on social media nowadays, and while yes, you should still absolutely love your body, even if it's bloated, and not let that affect your body image, bloating is a sign that something is wrong, and we should absolutely not be ignoring it and just passing it off as like, oh, everyone gets bloated all the time, it's totally normal. No, it's not normal. You shouldn't have to be dealing with it. Low libido, not normal. Hormonal acne, not normal. Unexplained weight gain, not normal. Often passed off as, oh, I'm just getting older. No, not normal. No, don't get me wrong. All of these things are very common, and I'm not saying you should feel ashamed if these things happen to you. Not at all what I'm saying. What I am saying is that anything where you don't feel optimal, if you have pain, if you're feeling not like yourself, if your mood is all over the place, etc., this is your body sending up a big red flag saying, hey, something is off, please help me. Just because you have a uterus does not mean you are doomed to live in an existence where half of your life is spent feeling suboptimal. But thankfully, if you do have any of these symptoms or any other symptoms of a hormone imbalance, there is so much that you can do to help balance your hormones and get rid of these symptoms. And not only will balancing your hormones just make you feel a ton better and improve your quality of life, it will also make it easier to lose fat, build muscle, improve your body composition if those are your goals. So if you are excited to dive into my 5 big tips for today, I have a lot more tips than what's in this video, but this is just 5 tips that I wanted to share with you guys. If you're excited to dive into them about how to balance your hormones, please give this video a big thumbs up. Leave a little comment if you have questions about hormones or ideas for more like hormone related videos that you want me to make. If there's anything you want me to talk more specifically about, happy to do so. Let me know in the comments. And really quick, before I dive into my tips, just a reminder that my course Reverse Dieting 101, the Metabolism Repair Manual, is going to be reopening for registration in January, on January 2nd. So if you want to kick off your year with a reverse diet to speed up your metabolism so that you can finally achieve the goals that you have been trying to achieve, make sure you go to reversedieting101.com, sign up for the waitlist. If you are on the wait list, you'll get early bird access with a little bit of a discount. So like if you want to save money and make sure you have time to save your spot, because there are limited spots, make sure you get on the wait list. But registration will be opening January 2nd. We'll start the course together on January 9th. If you want more information on the course, reversedieting101.com, check it out. Okay, now into the tips. Tip number 1 is find a balance with exercise. When it comes to exercise and hormone balance, you don't want to be doing too much, but you also don't want to be doing too little. It really is about finding that like sweet spot, the little baby bear spot. Not too much, not too little, just right. More often than not, when I get a client that is dealing with hormone imbalances, they're on the too much side of the equation when it comes to exercise. So let me break down really quick what's happening in your body when you're doing too much exercise, or just like exercising with more intensity and duration than your body can physically withstand. First and foremost, exercise is a stressor on the body. When you use exercise in appropriate doses, it is a very positive stressor. It forces your body to adapt to it in a very positive way. But once you get to too much exercise, the amount of stress that you're putting on your body becomes negative. So you're basically keeping your body in a very high cortisol state. Having high cortisol leads to having high blood glucose, which leads to extra fat being stored in the abdomen, which is why you often see people with hormone imbalances just storing extra fat in this area. Increased cortisol is also going to decrease thyroid production, and your thyroid regulates a lot of things, including your metabolism as well as your energy. So this is going to end up causing weight gain, depressed mood, sluggishness, and a whole host of other unpleasant symptoms. And then elevated cortisol also decreases fertility hormones. When your body is super stressed, it thinks it's not safe to reproduce. Like, a baby should not be born into an environment where there's a ton of stress going on. So your body shuts down your ability to reproduce. So it's basically just like tanking all of your hormones so that you can't. It's gonna specifically suppress GnRH, luteinizing hormone, and follicle stimulating hormone. So basically, exercising too much is bad news bears for your hormones. And I know it can feel super counterintuitive to think about decreasing your exercise if your goal is weight loss, because we're always told, you know, eat less, move more. But if you're currently overtraining, you're gonna be able to make so much more progress if you scale back to an appropriate amount of exercise for your body. Like if you're overtraining and you decrease your amount of training, you will probably notice some amount of weight loss, increase in muscle definition, and decrease in all the other unpleasant hormone imbalance symptoms. A good way to kind of gauge intensity of a workout and whether or not you're pushing yourself too much is you should leave the gym feeling good, feeling energized, feeling like you could probably go back and do another set or two. In fact, maybe you want to go back and do another set or two because your workout made you feel that good. You should not be leaving the gym feeling exhausted, feeling like you did 2 sets too many. You definitely don't want to be walking out of the gym every day thinking you're going to be super sore the next day. I've covered this in previous videos, but soreness is not an indicator of a good workout. My very general guideline for anyone who's experiencing any symptoms of hormone imbalances is to scale back your training to anywhere between like 2 and 4 days per week. And usually I kind of scale this based on the intensity of the hormone imbalance symptoms. So if you have a lot of symptoms, you're just like, you want to heal your body as quickly as possible because you're not in a good place, I would scale further back. So like closer to 2 days a week. If you just have like some symptoms where you're like, I get a little bit bloated, maybe I have some headaches around my period, I'm just like not feeling great, then maybe scale back to like closer to 4 days a week if you're doing more than that. If you're only doing 4, then scale back even further. But basically a general recommendation is the more out of balance your hormones are, the more you might want to reel in the intensity of the exercise. But while overtraining can cause hormone imbalances, on the other hand, a sedentary lifestyle can also cause hormone imbalances, which is again why this is about finding balance, finding somewhere in the middle that is optimal for your body. So some ways that a sedentary lifestyle is going to negatively impact your hormones is that exercising can actually boost serotonin and dopamine, it can boost HGH and testosterone, and it's really gonna help balance progesterone and estrogen, which are the 2 like main hormones when it comes to like fertility hormones and balance. Exercise also increases the body's resiliency to stress. Like I said, in proper doses, it can be a very good stressor because your body has to adapt to it in very positive ways. So adding in some amount of exercise is going to boost your body's ability to kind of deal with excess cortisol, which, as I mentioned earlier, too much cortisol is going to have a negative impact on your hormones. Exercise also helps keep hormones balanced because it increases hormone receptor sensitivity, and inactivity can lead to muscle breakdown, increase in insulin resistance, and increases in inflammation. So basically, if you are relatively sedentary and dealing with hormone imbalances, I do recommend increasing the amount of exercise that you're doing. And this could simply be going from being sedentary to making sure you're hitting 10,000 steps a day. So like get out and walk twice a day. As a kind of bare minimum for health to support your hormones, what I recommend doing is aiming for around like 8,000-ish steps a day just to make sure you're not being completely sedentary throughout the day, and then also getting in 2 workouts per week. Ideally, the majority of it would be resistance training, but you can incorporate other kind of stuff in there as well. But resistance training specifically is very good for hormone balance. Okay, tip number 2 is also an exercise related tip, and that is to train with your cycle. That was a loud clap. I didn't mean to do that. Here's the thing, if you have a natural menstrual cycle, your hormones fluctuate throughout the month. Your cycle starts on day 1 of your period or your menstrual phase, and this is when estrogen starts to gradually rise. Progesterone starts to rise a little bit too, but not quite as much. You get into your follicular phase, and this is where estrogen really takes off up into the point of ovulation. When you ovulate, your estrogen spikes, and then it drops, and then you are in your luteal phase. In your luteal phase, progesterone continues to rise and becomes the dominant hormone. Estrogen rises a little bit again and then tapers off. By the end of your cycle, both progesterone and estrogen are tapering off, leading you into your next period. And the constantly changing ratios and just amounts of estrogen and progesterone change what your body responds well to and what your body doesn't respond as well to. So I discuss this in a lot more depth in my video where I break down how to eat and train with your menstrual cycle. So if you want like a full breakdown, go watch that video. I'll link it down in the description. But for now, I'm just gonna cover the basics for you. The higher your estrogen, the more you can really push yourself, and the easier time your body has burning fat and building muscle. In particular, ovulation, when your estrogen is at its peak, this is when you are at your physical strongest. This is when you should really be aiming for PRs, really pushing yourself, because you're gonna have optimal strength and your body is actually going to get a lot of positive adaptation from that. Studies show an 11% increase in quad and grip strength during ovulation. But when estrogen and progesterone are low, your body is more likely to actually store fat and break down muscle with intense exercise. So what this means is basically a couple days after you start your period through ovulation is when you can really push yourself, when you can be exercising very intensely and your body is going to benefit from it. This is gonna be when you're gonna burn the most fat and build the most muscle. But in the second half of your cycle, particularly in the second half of your luteal phase, this is when your body is not going to respond so favorably to intense exercise and is gonna benefit a lot more from just slower, more restorative exercise. So to train with your cycle, you really want to scale back on intensity for the 7 to 10 days leading up to your period and the first like 2 to 5 days of your period, depending on how you're feeling. And my general guideline is the more severe your hormone imbalances are, the more severe your symptoms, the more you're gonna really want to scale back leading up to your period. So if you get like horrible PMS, then I would highly recommend just doing some like very light yoga, maybe even like yin yoga, or going for walks, doing some stretching, like get your body moving, because again, being sedentary isn't optimal, but you're gonna wanna keep it really light and just be gentle with your body. Like listen to your body. If your body is going, there's a lot wrong, we don't wanna move, listen to it. If you only get like light PMS symptoms, or let's say you don't even get any PMS symptoms at all, but you really want to train more with your cycle, this is where you're gonna listen to your body a little bit more, and if you feel a little bit more fatigued or sluggish on any day, just scale back the intensity. Like don't push for PRs in the latter part of your cycle. Just aim for kind of like maintenance. Don't really push the progressive overload. For me personally, what this looks like as someone that doesn't have any symptoms of hormone imbalances, for like the week leading up to my period, I really listen to my body. Some days I have a ton of energy. I feel great. I can kind of like push myself. And on those days, I'll kind of just aim to kind of do what I did the week before, because I have the same workouts week to week. So I won't really push it, but I will try to like do like maintenance level. But some days I'll get to the gym and I can just tell my body's like, we'd really rather not today, you know? And on those days, sometimes I'll scale the weight back by like 50%. So like if I'm doing a strength phase and deadlifting 200, maybe my body's like, nah. So I'll just like deadlift like the bar, or like add like 25-pound plates and just deadlift like 95 pounds and just take it super easy. Just go through the movement, focus on good form, but not push myself. You're always gonna get so much more out of working with your body rather than working against your body. My next 2 tips have to do with nutrition. And the first one is things to add, and then the second one is things to remove. So tip number 3, things to add into your diet to help balance hormone include calories. Eating too little is going to put so much stress on your body, and this is going to shut down reproduction. It is going to cause hormone imbalances. So if you're dealing with hormone imbalances, or in particular, if you have lost your period, really pay attention to how much you're eating and take a look at whether or not it's actually enough to support your body. If you've been in a calorie deficit trying to lose weight for seemingly forever, and you have hormone imbalance symptoms and you're not losing weight, you may have just dug yourself into a hormone hole by not eating enough. And I know it can be really hard to wrap your head around if you've been indoctrinated into diet culture, but I promise you, calories are not the enemy. Calories are actually your friend. The next thing that you're gonna wanna add in is quality protein. Proteins provide amino acids that your body cannot make on its own, and these are used to synthesize different peptide hormones that your body would not be able to make without enough protein, such as luteinizing hormone. Protein is also essential to blood sugar balance, which, as we talked about at the very beginning, is in turn very important for hormone balance. Something that I recommend focusing on, particularly if you have hormone imbalances, is organ meats. I know a lot of you probably just gagged when I said that, but they are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. And getting enough micronutrients supports hormone production. Hormones can't be synthesized if you are deficient in nutrients. Another category of protein to focus on is seafood. Seafood contains selenium and iodine, which can help support thyroid function. I also recommend adding in fibrous veggies. There are a lot of reasons that fibrous veggies are very helpful for hormone balance. Number 1 is good fiber feeds the good gut bacteria, so that's going to help balance your gut microbiome, which in turn is going to have an impact on your hormones. Also, fiber helps with pooping, and pooping regularly is very important to move excess estrogen out of your body. If you are like chronically constipated, you may have also developed estrogen dominance because you literally have to poop out extra estrogen. So if you're not pooping, it's not good for your hormones. Fiber also helps reduce insulin resistance and balance blood sugar, and then cruciferous vegetables in particular can be extremely helpful. Things like broccoli, kale, bok choy, cauliflower, etc. basically help the liver process out extra estrogen. Healthy fats are also a really good idea to add into your diet. Omega-3s in particular are really beneficial because they can help reduce insulin resistance by decreasing inflammation and pro-inflammatory markers. Studies also show that omega-3s can help kind of balance out your cortisol. If your cortisol starts getting a little bit high, if you have enough omega-3s, it'll kind of like keep you a little more chill. When it comes to carbs, this is a little bit more nuanced of a discussion. So if you guys want me to talk about carbs and hormone balance specifically, let me know down in the comments. For the majority of people, adding more carbs is going to be more beneficial, but again, it's more nuanced. And there's also a couple of supplements that I do recommend looking into to potentially add in that can help balance your hormones. They're both from Ned. Big shout out to Ned for partnering with me on this video. I absolutely love their stuff for hormone balance, and it's kind of where I personally turn to first if I feel like something may be a little amiss with my hormones. Like if I'm getting close to my period and I can tell that I'm just not feeling optimal, like maybe I have like a little bit of fatigue or something, the first thing that I turn to is the Ned Hormone Balance Blend. This has 600 milligrams of the highest quality CBD you will find on the market. Like if you're looking for good CBD in general, highly recommend Ned. Like I have spoken with the founders, I've spoken with some of the other people that work at their company, and they're all just, first of all, so passionate about making a really good quality product, and they have clearly put so much thought into every single aspect of curating the best CBD, from where the plants are grown to how they're harvested to how everything is extracted. It is all done impeccably. And CBD as a whole is very balancing for the body because it interacts with the endocannabinoid system in the body, and every system in your body has endocannabinoid receptors. So it can basically help balance every system of your body, including the endocrine system, i.e. your hormones. But on top of just having CBD, it also has an amazing blend of botanicals and fatty acids and antioxidants and other key nutrients that are really good at supporting hormone balance. So for example, some of the key ingredients in here are evening primrose oil, which is a really good fatty acid. Red raspberry leaf is widely known to be really good for balancing hormones. It has dandelion leaf, lemon balm, a bunch of just like great powerhouse botanicals in here that can also promote hormone balance. So I do highly recommend looking into this if you are dealing with any hormone imbalances. And then we also have the Ned Magnesium, which I honestly take super regularly even if I'm not dealing with any hormone issues, because I know that I don't get enough magnesium, and so I want to supplement with magnesium. But when it comes specifically to magnesium and its effect on hormone balance, magnesium is very critical in regulating progesterone's effect on the central nervous system. And this is why supplementing with magnesium can actually really help relieve PMS symptoms, PMDD symptoms, as well as migraines and perimenopause symptoms. Magnesium also helps keep blood sugar in check. It helps regulate thyroid health and a lot more. Magnesium is very critical in like pretty much all the processes of the body. So it has a lot of wide-reaching benefits, but those are the particular things when it comes to hormones. So if you do want to check out Ned, I do have a discount code. You can get yourself 15% off with the code FitAndNerdy. I'll leave a link to these down in the description box below, but highly recommend Ned as a brand, as a company. Everyone who works there is just so passionate about making just high-quality products that truly help people. Like their mission is to help people, and you can tell that when you talk to them. They're amazing, and I love them. Anyway, check them out. My next tip number 4, is things to remove from your diet. First one that I want to highlight is fasting. Now, technically this would actually be adding to your diet because you're increasing your eating window, but basically the idea of removing fasting from your regimen. Some women are totally fine with intermittent fasting, with regular prolonged fasting. You can totally get away with it. Other people really need to scale back on the fasting because it can negatively impact hormone balance, because it can be a stressor on the body. And this is particularly noticeable for people that already have a lot of other stressors. Adding fasting on top of that can just be like the straw that broke the camel's back. And so if you scale back on the fasting, your body's going to feel safer, and it might be easier for your body to regulate hormones. But again, this is not 100% true for everyone. For some people, intermittent fasting may help balance blood sugar, which is going to bring your hormones into balance. But generally, when I see people come to me with hormone issues and they're fasting, I have them increase their feeding window so that their fasting window is a lot smaller, maybe closer to like 10 hours, 12 hours max. And then we kind of go from there. And it could be a case where you can add fasting back in once your hormones are balanced. But generally, if I get a client that's dealing with significant hormone issues, I'm gonna get rid of the intermittent intermittent fasting, any prolonged fasting that they might be doing. The next thing to remove, or at least cut back on, you don't necessarily have to completely remove all of these things, but scale back on, is sugar. Talked about insulin resistance and high blood sugar. The more sugar you eat, the more prone you are to have insulin resistance, which is going to negatively affect your hormones. Fructose in particular is linked to a dysregulation of the gut microbiome, which is going to cause a downstream effect on your hormones. Next thing to remove is dairy. If you're intolerant to it, if you have no issues consuming dairy and you have dairy and you get no symptoms, you may be able to leave it in and it's totally fine for your hormones. A lot of people though have some amount of lactose intolerance. If you have some amount of lactose intolerance, you should remove dairy, because the more things that you eat that you're intolerant to, the more inflammation it's going to cause, which is going to just further dysregulate your hormones. Caffeine is the next thing. I have a whole video about my thoughts and perspective on caffeine. I don't think it's necessarily bad for everyone. I don't think everyone needs to cut it out, but if you are dealing with hormone issues and you want to heal your body, definitely recommend scaling back on it at the very least, because caffeine spikes cortisol. And if your hormones are already out of whack, that's just gonna perpetuate things. Then we have gluten, particularly in the US where we spray our gluten crops with glyphosate and a bunch of other things. Our gluten is a lot lower quality than in other countries, but most people have some amount of sensitivity to gluten, and it can be very inflammatory for a lot of people, even if you don't have celiac disease. I eat gluten-free because I have celiac disease. I haven't intentionally eaten gluten since I was like 10. But a lot of people see significant improvement in their hormone imbalance symptoms when they do cut out particularly gluten and dairy. So that would be kind of where I would recommend starting when it comes to taking things out of your diet. Another thing is alcohol. Drinking alcohol temporarily causes estrogen dominance. So if your hormones are already out of whack, you're just making it worse. In general, alcohol is literally poison. So that's not good for your body in any way, shape, or form. If you have any sort of health issue, cutting out alcohol while you're trying to heal is probably a good idea. And then any other foods that you might be intolerant to, I recommend cutting those out, because again, any amount of intolerance, if you're eating those foods, is gonna cause inflammation, not optimal for hormones. And then highly processed foods. There's a lot of highly processed foods that can contribute to inflammation in a variety of ways, and so reducing your consumption of those will probably have a positive effect on hormone imbalance. I want to take a second to note that when it comes to healing hormone imbalances, diet quality is absolutely important. For other goals like losing fat, building muscle, etc., diet quality, at least short term, is less important. But it's also worth noting that in the long run, diet quality is important for maintaining any of those results, because eating a low quality diet could easily lead to a hormone imbalance. And if you develop a hormone imbalance, you can say goodbye to your abs. So that's why I always recommend prioritizing health first, letting aesthetics follow, because if you have the baseline of your health firmly established, it's gonna be a lot easier to maintain any aesthetic results that you do get. So if you're dealing with a hormone imbalance and trying to lose fat, focus on the hormone imbalance first. Get your hormones in check, get yourself to a healthy, stable baseline. Losing fat's gonna be so much easier, and keeping it off is gonna be even easier. Tip number 5 is get your sleep. I say this all the time. I feel like no one listens to me. Maybe it's because I put it last. Maybe I should stop putting this tip last in all my videos. But particularly when it comes to balancing your hormones, like I cannot stress this enough. Get your 8 hours and make it consistent, like day-to-day consistent bedtime. Sleep is a huge part of regulating your cortisol. When you have a consistent sleep schedule and you're getting good sleep, within 30 minutes of waking is when your cortisol peaks. Your cortisol should actually increase in the morning. That is natural and healthy. Like too much cortisol is not good, but you need some cortisol or else it's not good. But basically your cortisol peaks about 30 minutes after waking, and it sets off all of your other hormones, including like your thyroid hormones and your estrogen, etc. When you don't sleep well, or when you have a very irregular sleep schedule, your peak cortisol is not gonna be like at that specific time, like 30 minutes after waking up. It could be before you wake up, it could be a lot later. Like your peak cortisol is gonna be dysregulated, and this is gonna dysregulate the flow of the rest of your hormone production. It's gonna disrupt the balance between estrogen and progesterone. It could disrupt the production of thyroid hormone, which is in turn going to cause a lot of other issues. I have a lot of videos going into my tips for increasing sleep quality, so I'll link those down in the description box below if you want to check those out to get more advice on how to improve sleep. But quickly, some of my biggest tips are, this is actually a really good magnesium for sleep because it adds GABA and L-theanine, which like combined with magnesium makes it just like, try this, your sleep's gonna be amazing. And then it also has a sleep blend. It's CBD plus like some other botanicals for sleep. It's fire. I don't call things fire a lot, but the Net Sleep Blend is fire. I've had a lot of clients try it and they're all like, wow, my life has changed. And I'm like, you're welcome. But also be consistent with your bedtime so that you have a consistent circadian rhythm so that your hormone production can be consistent. A sleep routine can be really helpful in kind of helping your body wind down before you get into bed so that your body and brain are kind of prepared for sleep before you try to get into bed to go to sleep. So you're not just like laying there awake like, oh my God, I was so stressed from the day and I just got in bed and now I'm still stressed. Like, give your body time to wind down. Cut out all blue light before sleep. Cut out anything stimulating before sleep. So particularly stimulants like caffeine, like don't have those within like 8 hours of sleep. But also things like social media and TV can cause a spike in cortisol. They're also messing with your dopamine. So just be mindful of creating a good sleep environment and setting yourself up for good quality sleep and being consistent with it. And those are 5 of my top tips when it comes to hormone balance. I hope this was helpful. Again, I have a lot more tips, a lot more things that I could talk about. I want to address any specific questions that you guys have about hormones or specific issues or anything like that. If there's anything you want me to dive into, let me know. But I really hope this is helpful for any of you that are experiencing any symptoms of hormone imbalance. Just know that there are so many things that you can do to support your body. You don't have to go through that for the rest of your life. Make sure you check out Ned. Use my discount code FitAndNerdy to get yourself 15% off. Again, I'll leave a link down in the description. Also, make sure you sign up for the waitlist for Reverse Dieting 101 because again, eating more calories can help balance your hormones. There are actually a few people in the first round of the course that experienced better hormone balance going through a reverse diet because they slowly increased calories from being in a very calorie deprived state, and now their body's like, wow, we can thrive because we have more fuel and nutrients. And it's amazing what a reverse diet can do for your physique and your hormones and your energy and your relationship with food, and I could go on all day, so I'll stop. So sign up for the waitlist for Reverse Dieting 101 at reversedieting101.com. In the meantime, if you liked this video, please give a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, your gym buddies. If you want to see more content from me, you can check it out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!